Hello, my name is Lauren Kangas, owner of my own boutique design studio in New York City. Welcome to 5 Famous Logos Deconstructed. Today we are going to look at drawing techniques in Adobe Illustrator using some familiar logos as examples. You will learn tips that you can use in your very next logo project, such as how to use the Pathfinder palette and gradient tool, making a common typeface look unique, quickly rotating and scaling objects, how to create reflections to add extra oomph to your design, and how to mimic the look of old or distressed type. Let's begin by looking at the Animal Planet logo. This is the completed logo at left, but at right I've assembled all of its basic parts. The first part is a simple rectangle shape. This is created using the rectangle tool. All that you have to do is click and drag to create your desired shape. The next part is this elephant silhouette. When you purchase a stock image of your subject, sometimes it comes with a clipping path included in the file that can serve as the silhouette of your basic subject. If you don't have a clipping path included in your file, then you can draw one yourself in either Illustrator or Photoshop by tracing your subject. In this case, we already have the elephant silhouette, so I'm going to click on both my rectangle and the elephant and make sure that they are aligned at their right edge and at their bottom edge by clicking in the Align palette. Now I can see that they're perfectly aligned. So what I need to do next is create a knockout of my elephant shape out of the rectangle behind it. That way the background color can show through the elephant, as you see here, where the white of the page background is showing through. In order to create that unique shape around the elephant, we need to use the Pathfinder palette. So I'm going to start by selecting both my shapes and looking down here at the Pathfinder palette. There are many buttons here, and you may find that in any particular situation you can use more than one of them to achieve your desired effect. So let's take a look at each one of these buttons. The first one is called the Add to Shape Area button. In this case, we don't want to use that button because what it does is it adds the total area of two shapes together. But let's take a look at how that works. We'll draw two simple squares. And I'll select them both and go back to the Pathfinder palette and click on the Add to Shape Area button. As you can see, that creates one unique shape by joining my two different shapes together. The next button in the Pathfinder palette is called the Subtract from Shape Area button. Now this button may actually work well in our situation with the elephant because we'd like to subtract the elephant shape from the rectangle around it. So let's take a look at that and see if that works. That works pretty well. But let's go back to our squares for a second and do a run through of all of the buttons in the Pathfinder palette. If I click on the Subtract from Shape Area button, it will subtract the overlapping area from my first square and also subtract any leftover shape around it. If I click on the Intersect Shape Areas button, that will subtract everything except where the two shapes intersect with one another. If I click on the Exclude Overlapping Shape Areas button, That will subtract only the area where the two shapes overlap. If I click on the Divide button, that will divide up my shapes into a number of unique little pieces so that they can then be manipulated as needed. If I click on the Trim button, that will essentially eliminate from the drawing any overlapping area. If I click on the Merge button, that joins the two shapes together to form a more simple design. Some situations where you might use the Merge button is where you have a very complex drawing that you want to simplify.